Good evening. Campaigners angry that work to prepare for HS2 hasn't stopped despite the project being reviewed have been protesting in Buckinghamshire. Major construction has been halted while the government looks into the feasibility of the scheme, but other work is continuing. In Steeple Claydon, 150 acres is due to be cleared to create space for an engineering hub. At Fairford Leys in Aylesbury, construction workers moved in this week to prepare the area, while in Great Missenden, work on a new link road for construction traffic has been blocked by campaigners. David Lum has been speaking to people along the proposed high-speed rail route.
It is now almost 3 minutes to 8. We're expecting them any time now to come out.
For these campaigners in Steeple Claydon, every day starts the same. The workers are here to cut down trees to make way for HS2. But the villagers have no intention of moving.
We need to advise you that you are trespassing. Are you willing to leave?
No.
The police will be informed.
That's fine, the police come every day. We don't have a problem with the police.
This standoff has been taking place every few hours for 9 days.
How did that go then, guys?
That's just exactly what we want. Peaceful protest. Yeah, we stopped it again. This is our 9th day now and we will continue to do so.
Police are routinely called, but take no action. This is a civil dispute.
I'm tasked to come here and I come here. Simple as that. No personal feelings, that's my job.
3 to 5 times a day they're coming out with the intention of ripping out all this woodland, the whole area you can see around here, to rip it all out. Whether HS2 goes ahead or not, these guys are not interested. They have a job to do and their job is to rip all this woodland out completely.
It wasn't the only demonstration against the controversial rail scheme today. This was the scene in London, where protesters took direct action at the Department of Transport. Meanwhile, in Great Missenden, campaigners climbed trees and waved banners against construction work.
It's a huge campaign that's been going on for years. HS2 is a blot on the landscape. This is an AONB. The government have a legal obligation to protect it, and there's intense damage being caused, trees being felled, roads being widened in small rural villages.
In Fairford Leys, they've already lost a golf course. Villagers know it's a matter of time before these trees and this playground are flattened.
Truck after truck after truck coming down these small village roads because the only way they can get from one end of their construction site to the other is through these roads. Our village school is impacted, our village centre is impacted. Everything about our way of life will be impacted for however many years the construction is going to go on.
The cost of HS2 has risen from 62 billion to between 81 and 88 billion. The outcome of a review into whether the project should continue is expected imminently. Buckinghamshire County Council wants the preparation work halted until that's over. But HS2 Limited told the BBC today its work has government approval. Campaigners in Steeple Claydon say they plan to stay for as long as it takes. David Lum, BBC South Today.
The Conservative MP for Aylesbury, David Liddington, has recently called on all work to stop until the review has been completed. I spoke to him earlier and asked him what the government's response had been.
Well, they've agreed to stop work that would affect ancient woodland, but not other work. I don't think that's good enough, to be honest. I think that all preparatory work should be stopped while the independent review led by Douglas Oakervie goes ahead. The work's continuing seems to be prejudicial to that review, and I'm continuing to make that point to transport ministers.
Many landowners haven't been paid for land that HS2 is using. Have you raised that with the government?
I have raised it with the government, made it clear I think this is an utter disgrace. I'm taking up both the general principle and individual cases where my constituents have come to me. They are owed this money. No organisation, public or private sector, should be able to get away with this sort of behaviour.
You threatened to resign over HS2 back in 2014, but you didn't. Why didn't you?
I came close to it, but in the end I got changes to compensation that meant that there was a much more generous scheme available to my constituents, some improvements in the mitigation along the route. And I concluded to walk out of the government at that point when there was a majority of 9-1 in favour of HS2 in the House of Commons anyway. Would have been a futile gesture that would have damaged my access to ministers and try to get things done for my constituents. And I continue to campaign for my constituents, whether I'm inside or outside the government.
Some people say you're much more vocal now you're outside the government. What do you say to that?
You can be more vocal when you're outside the government. Inside the government, you have more privileged access to the ministers of the day who are actually taking decisions than you do as a backbencher. As a backbencher, you're not bound by the collective responsibility that all ministers in every government have to abide by. And that's just how every parliament, every government works.
You want HS2 to be scrapped. So what do you hope will come out of the review, and what do you think probably will come out of the review?
Well, I saw Douglas Oakervey and Lord Berkeley, his deputy chairman, about a week ago. They did impress upon me that they were approaching this with an open mind, that they saw their role as genuinely independent. I certainly said this scheme should be scrapped. But I said, look, if at the end of the day, the Transport Secretary and the Prime Minister decide that it should go ahead in some form, then for goodness sake, at least recommend some changes. We need a tunnel at Wendover to mitigate the impact on local people and, incidentally, to save the government money because it will be a cost saver to have a tunnel there. Secondly, we want an intermediate station between London and Birmingham so that all the people in Bucks, Northants, Oxfordshire, who at the moment just get nothing but paid, would at least get some improvement in their transport access as a consequence. And third, we would need a step change in how HS2 Limited handles members of the public. The public are expected to pay for this scheme. They deserve decent, fair treatment at the hands of HS2 Limited. They've not had it so far. We need to see that change made.